I spend a lot of time in my potting shed behind me, and recently built, I've got this wall here that just isn't doing it for me. So Garth and I have been thinking about it, and we've got a plan. The plan is we're going to make our own cladding. Yes, you can buy lots of commercial cladding, but why not try your hand at making your own? We've never done this before. We're going to give it a bash, and I got a good feeling about this one, so stay right where you are. So we've already told you we want to make some kind of special cladding. Now, Garth and I have been racking our brains as to how to get this right. And the inspiration arrived eventually, and this might sound quite out there, but when we were on a tour in Thailand and we saw exactly the rocks that I wanted to make. Now, I've been explaining this to Garth, and we've kind of worked it out. So this is how you do it. Number one, you need this foam stuff. You know, the foam stuff that fills big holes up when you had a bad builder. Or you got big cracks, hey Garth?
That's correct.
And you get it in different sizes. You got to shake it up really, really well. And it works upside down, not like most things. You're going to take this little doodaff here, and you're going to screw it on. And we're just going to literally put it on a surface that you're not going to need at least for 24 hours. And this is the fun part. Check how it comes out, and it just starts expanding. What you want to do is just work it round. And remember, this stuff grows to about double its size. Double its size. So this one over here, I'm quite happy with it. What you do want is you want it to be as rough as possible, because as it expands, these all close up and then it starts looking more rounded. So you want it to have as many of these lumps and bumps as possible, obviously to look like a rock. All right. Now you can do as many of these as you want, obviously depending on how many molds you want to end up at the end of the day. But that's what you do. Great way to have lots of fun. You leave this for 24 hours, and I kid you not, you're going to end up with this big boy here. So from that small amount, it's going to expand to this. Changes color, and you can see it's got this beautiful texture, almost like volcanic rock, which is exactly what we want. Now, for cladding, you need a flat base, so that ain't going to work. So Garth, our plan is?
We'll cut it nice and straight.
Cut it off nice and straight. So I'll hold this baby here.
Okay. I need to hold it.
All right. That's the one. Beautiful. Nice and smooth. And you can imagine that that is going to eventually create the mold for our cladding, which you'll be able to stick straight against the wall. This is what we're going to do. Pop these two down. Got a bit of a thing hanging around like that. Just get rid of it. Exactly where you want them to be. Now we're going to be using a silicone rubber molding product. You can get this product from shops that specialize in craft products. Garth, how do we mix the stuff?
Right, Tanya. It's white at the moment.
Okay.
Right, we need to put half of this pink stuff in.
Right.
So you just need to shake it up a bit.
We're just mixing this according to the manufacturer's instructions. Now when you add the activator, you've got a certain amount of time to make this thing work and to finish it all off. Now the simplest part about this whole procedure is the next one. All you got to do is take a nice dollop of this. Ooh la la. Look at that. And you're just going to paint it on. Try and get it nice and thick, especially where you've got the bubbles. It's important that we create a little lip around the edge, because it makes it much easier to be able to grab. So like I'm doing here, just taking the product and moving it along the edge of my foam little goodie here to create a nice lip. Right, we finished putting on our latex basic liquid, which has got the activator in. We need to leave it for 24 hours, and then we can remove the mold. We've let our molds dry for 24 hours. It's now time to take off this latex rubber. So you're gonna have to grab it. And this is gonna be a little tight, but you don't need to stress too much. There we go. That's the one that we want. Beautiful. Look inside here. It's got the perfect markings of basically everything that we had here. This is now going to form our mold. We'll be able to use it over and over and over again. And that's the beauty about having something like this as opposed to polystyrene or wood. So now the exciting part. Let's get our mixture ready, because now we're going to use these as our molds, and we're going to show you how to go about it. No mess, no fuss, nice and simple. Right, folks, to make our concrete mixture for our cladding, it's a very simple procedure. And we're doing it in a small little container like this because you don't need loads and loads because we've only got 2 molds. So this is the mixture we're going to be using. It's 2 scoops, 2 volume of fine river sand. 1, 2. We're using 1 scoop of very small, the little 12 millimeter stone, building stone. That's it, lovely Garth. And 2 scoops of PPC cement. Good stuff. Now, we want our cladding to have that dark, rich, black look, almost like volcanic rock, because that's what we're trying to emulate here. So to get that right, we need to use oxide. According to the manufacturer's instructions, we're using half a packet. This is a 500 gram packet, so just gooi it in, Garth. Half a packet, there you go. What is important, folks, is whatever you're going to be doing is to use the same consistency throughout. So tomorrow, if you're doing another batch, or the next day, remember to keep your consistency the same. All that we do now is give it a good mix. Okay, Garth, this is looking good.
Yep, well mixed. Yep.
Okay. Right, make a little hole in the center. You hang on to that and I'll bring the water across. All right, here we go.
Okay, Tanya.
Okay, let's go. God, that looks awesome.
Yes, well mixed, Tanya.
Now, folks, immediately you're going to see the color of our mixture. It's really dark. That's what we want. It's well mixed in. It's really runny, and that's important when you're using molds because you want your concrete mixture to get right into all those little crevices and grooves. That's what we want. So, all right, now what you're going to do at this point is you can either do this into the ground or you can get little bowls like we've got. Basically, just make a hole in the center, just like that. Take a look at that. You take your mold and you then firm it in, making sure the most important part is that your surface over here is level. Because if you're going to mold it like that, of course, your cladding is going to come out with that wonk in it, and that's not what you want. So you want to make sure that it's sitting nice and level, well supported by the river sand around it. Perfect. So Garth, I think let's just pour it straight into here. Ooh, gorgeous. Beautiful stuff. Nice. Just give it a little few bit of agitation in here. And we know that it's got into all those grooves, and that is it. Plain and simple. You're going to leave that for 24 hours. 24 hours will be more than enough for you then to be able to remove your mold. Alrighty, folks. Here are 2 of our molds that have dried. It's been 24 hours since we threw them, and now it's time to take them out and show you what we've got. Pretty simple. Just grab it, put it down the side here. Let's get rid of these guys. Okay, pop it down like that. And then, hey presto, watch how easy this is. Ha-ha! Awesomeness. Beautiful, Garth.
Yeah, came out very nice.
Look at that. 2 stunning pieces of cladding. Really, really gorgeous. Kind of, you can see the molding in here directly from this that we've had. Beautiful flat surface, because that is how it's going to stick to the wall like that. So can you imagine? Put your one next to me here, Garth. There we go. We're going to have these bits of cladding all the way up the wall, and in between we're going to have these plants just cascading down. The only thing we've got to do now is make a whole lot more. Folks, so we've got our bits of cladding that Garth and I have been rapidly producing. They look more like lava rocks, which is what we wanted, where the inspiration originally came from. And we've got this gorgeous wall. Now, the fact about this gorgeous wall is that it's been bag washed. Now, when you bag wash something, you'll notice that it's actually quite coarse, the finish. And that means that in terms of our application, it's going to be way easier. If you've got a very smooth plastered wall, then what you're going to need to do is get a hammer with one of those chipping ends and just chip it away to create a rough texture that it'll be able to adhere to, and that's important. So we're going to start from that side and we're going to work our way, and we've just got some tile adhesive that you've mixed up.
Yep.
Okay.
And we just take a little bit like this. It's good to have that bubble. You see that air there, Tanya?
Yes.
So when you put it against the wall, it creates a vacuum.
Okay, so that's why you've got this special thing with the little ridges.
That's right.
So first one tight in the corner there.
Right here.
That's the baby.
And all we need to do,
Yeah.
make sure he's nice and secure there.
Okay.
And just give him a slight, gentle tap.
Oh, you can see as you're tapping it, so it's oozing out.
That's right.
And that's obviously the airlock.
The airlock is right.
Brilliant.
I mean,
And look at that.
It's already stuck already.
That guy's not moving anywhere. Now, the trick with cladding, folks, is to get your base layer in first. Because your base layer, as soon as that starts drying and setting, you can then merrily go ahead putting the other guys on top of it, above it. Because as that holds, so you've got a support structure. Let me give this a bash.
Okay, Tanya.
Give me this gadget of yours.
Oh, no, you'll be good at it.
Is that all right?
That's perfect, yes.
And this baby, I'm going to put in right here. Garth, let's get on with this. We're going to stick maybe another one here, and then we're going to start working our way up and show the folks how we're going to make it possible to grow plants in between this. To create one of the little pockets, what I need to do is I need to chip one of these, break it in half, and all you do is just going to give it a good bang. Okay, that should be fine. Pop the chisel in here. That's it. Okay, that edge is going to be perfect. All right, Garth, let's whack a bit of your adhesive on there. Get him into that corner there. That's it. Okay, Garth, last baby in.
Yes, Tanya.
Our wall is looking
Good.
fabulous. Right, give him a beating. Fantastic. Right, folks, our creation is complete. It's got beautiful texture, enough little pockets that we're going to start to plant in. But before we do that, we're going to leave this for an hour just to dry, set, before we get too eager. All right, folks, we're ready for the planting, and we've got a couple of bits and pieces in order to make these plants very happy in these very small little pockets. I've got a bit of peat moss here, and I've wet the peat moss. You can see that peat moss holds a lot of moisture. So what I'm going to take is a couple of handfuls of potting soil and mix that with my peat moss. Of course, the potting soil is a bark-based media. That's also just going to add a bit of aeration into it and just help to give this a bit more structure. All right, that should do it. Now, in terms of the plants that I've got, because this is a very shaded wall, we've got some lovely Selaginella. Selaginella is a creeping plant. Very, very graceful, easy to grow. We're going to take some of our mixture, and in our mixture, we're just going to pop it into the holes. So, when you take the roots, squeeze the roots as you need to manipulate them, and then take the little guy, pop him in, feed him round, and there you have it. This is a great plant for using in such an application. It's called Peace in the Home. Its botanical name is Solarolea solariolea. Terrible name to have to pronounce. Peace in the Home will do it. It loves dappled light, not full sun, shade. It's perfect, and in this baby goes. That's the one. This is a great plant, indigenous as well. This is called the Streptocarpus. Now, Streptocarpus comes from Central Africa. It loves growing in misted kind of ravine areas where you'd imagine water trickling down a waterfall. Also, it produces a beautiful flower. It comes in whites and pinks. So the same application. And there we go. One little Streptocarpus tucked in neatly into the little crevice, and it's just going to love that spot. Garth is popping in a little fern into the corner. Now, any ferns will do in this situation, when you go to your local garden centre to ask for advice on what to use, look in the indoor plant section, because that's where you're going to find these little guys. And then I've had this little orchid. Now, so many of us get given orchids as gifts and presents, and we end up with it looking like this, and we don't know what to do with it. So I've got one of these hanging around, and it's a little phalaenopsis or a moth orchid. I'm going to take it out. Remember, orchids are epiphytes. Epiphytes means that it actually can grow with air and on other plants, on bark. It actually does not take any nutrients out of it. And this little guy is going to be perfect for putting in here because it's going to get the moisture that it needs. It's got rocks to cling on to because this is how they grow in the wild. They grow hanging off trees and that. So in here, lovely. Our wall is completed. We finished the planting, but I just want to work on the area around it. So what I need to do, turn the soil, add in some compost and some bone meal or superphosphate, and then I can get ready to finish off with our new plants that we're going to be putting in there. These little guys are beautiful. It's a little plectranthus called Sasha or lemon and lime. You can find them at your local garden centre in the shaded section or even in the indoor plant section. And Sasha, of course, is a great plant to use as a ground cover because it doesn't get very tall, only gets about 20 centimeters in height, but spreads at least 60 centimeters. It's fantastic in a hanging basket, in semi-shaded areas, or even in Loffelstein walls if you're wanting to cover them. Having logs around the garden is always a great thing. Never get rid of them because you never know when you're going to use them. Just like these guys that I've got from an alien tree that we cut down. Perfect here just to cover up the rest of the wall. Thanks, Garth. We're going to stack them all along here. Not only is it going to look good, but it's also going to encourage the wildlife, which of course we always want in our garden. I told you that these guys would come in handy, and they're coming in even more handy. Using them as a little edging makes such a cool look. And the part that I love about it the most is that I know that when these guys start rotting away and decomposing, is that it's just going to add more and more nutrition into the soil.